Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Here with some thoughts on the upcoming Cruiser championship fight between champion Marco Huck and challenger Giacobbe Fragomeni. And that fight is taking place in Germany in just a few weeks. And Marco Huck right now is a 10-1 favorite in that fight. Now, before I go further, let me just say the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let me just say, when you see 10-1 odds, you should be a skeptic. What they're telling you is that the favorite would win 10 times out of 11. Now, I know that some critics will argue that I take too many underdogs in these videos. My point to you is simply, when you're talking about championship level fighters, when you're talking about guys who are either contenders or actual champions or former champions, it's very rare. In fact, I would argue it's almost impossible to find a challenger who isn't going to win more than one match out of 11. Boxing is much more random than that. You know, all you have to do every year, we have a big upset that leaves people scratching their heads. Some of these upsets aren't even upsets, right? Old timers remember Ali losing to Leon Spinks, right? We all remember Michael Spinks beating Larry Holmes. Sometimes you see a fight like young Felix Trinidad taking Maurice Blocker's title, only to later realize that Trinidad actually was a very talented fighter. You can fill in your own upset here, whether it's Oliver McCall over Lennox Lewis, whether it's Corey Sanders over Vladimir Klitschko, whether it's Brewster over Vladimir Klitschko. These upsets happen more than 9 or 10% of the time. Okay, now here, I can't recommend to anyone that they take Marco Huck in any fight at 10-1 odds. But what I can do is to try to recommend a structured bet that tries to get around the 10-1 odds. Understand, though, the minute you're trying to get around long odds, you're going to have an unprotected, naked risk involved in the bet. And if you don't understand that there's significant risk in gambling, then you should not be following my videos. I'd like for you to take a look at oddschecker.com. And they have posted odds on this fight. You'll notice, forget the 10-1. I'm not interested ever in 10-1s. I don't care if it's Marco Huck or Mike Tyson, right? 10-1, throw that out. Let's try a minus 200. Let's try a 2-1 on the prop of Marco Huck by KO, right? That's the prop I'm focused on, because looking at styles, I noticed that Krzysztof Włodarczyk knocked out Fragomeni. I know that David Haye stopped Fragomeni. I look at his style, no jab. He's coming in, trying to rely on head movement. I also noticed, too, that he's in his 40s. I'm just telling you, older fighters try to live for another day. You know, they know when it's not their night. They'll quit on the stool before, forcing themselves to go the distance in a fight that they know they've already lost, right? Not only that, his hand speed is not blistering. And keep in mind, Fragomeni is kind of like the Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta. He comes at you as if he has a big punch, but he doesn't really. Look at that KO percentage. It's less than 40%. And here he is against a gifted puncher who is a volume puncher who's certain to meet him in the middle of the ring and try to come forward. The kind of guy who, quite frankly, is looking for an opponent like Fragomeni who's going to be right in his face trying to force the issue. Given these facts, I believe the most likeliest outcome here is Marco Huck, the favorite, wins this fight by knockout, you can get not 10-1 odds on the knockout prop. You can get 2-1 odds, right? Let's see if we can come up with a straddle. Fragomeni or Fragomeni, however you pronounce it. He, if he wins, is likely to do so by decision. He just doesn't have the punch to really stop Marco Huck, right? Marco Huck can go the distance. In fact, he recently went the distance in a fight that I thought he lost. In fact, I'll go further. I'll reveal my bias. I'm a Huck skeptic. I actually picked his last opponent to win that fight, and that was Denis Lebedev. Let me just point out, as I look at the film, I'm convinced Lebedev got robbed in Germany. I'll leave that up to the cognoscenti, up to people watching this video, to tell me if I'm wrong. But Marco Huck has gone the distance before. I don't think Fragomeni has the punching power to stop Marco Huck. So, as my straddle, I'm interested in Fragomeni at, believe it or not, 14-1 odds to win a decision. Keep in mind, all I'm trying to do is to get the other side of the bet across from my Huck by KO. So the straddle I'm recommending is, because you know I'm a straddler, it is Marco Huck by knockout at 2-1, straddled against Fragomeni by decision at 14-1. The way I would lay the coin is I'd bet 200 on Huck by KO, right? By the way, when I say 2-1 on the Huck side, I'm talking about a minus 200, right? I'd bet 200 on Huck by KO to win 100, right? Then on the other side of the bet, I would bet $20 to win $280. If either happens, if Huck wins by KO, you win 100 minus the $20 straddle, you win $80. If Fragomeni wins by decision, you win 14 times 20, $280 minus the 200 you placed on Huck by KO. You would win $80 on either side of the bet. Now understand the risk involved. The biggest risk in this fight is the possibility of Marco Huck winning by decision. If that happens, you lose it all. You lose $220, right? Likewise, if Marco Huck comes out, can't pace himself, looks like he did in the 12th round of the Steve Cunningham fight, if Fragomeni wins this fight by KO, you would lose $220. So understand the risk. We're trying to get around a 10-1 line. My recommendation is Marco Huck by KO. I just don't see Fragomeni going the distance. I think that's the most likely outcome. But of course, I like to straddle. And if Huck shows up uninspired, and if Fragomeni goes the distance and gets the decision, then you would still collect $80 if you straddle it with Fragomeni by decision. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me on gamblersadvisory.com. Leave your comments in our forum at gamblersadvisory.com on Facebook. And leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Thanks for watching.